usually do is I don't track. Because the thing is, we're not tracking damage, right?
No, but you do know which upgrades which one hits.
Yeah. Okay, we could do that.
I don't know if it's worth doing it on both overlays.
Well, wouldn't it just? What do you mean both overlays?
Like
both cameras?
Yeah, both cameras.
Why not?
Just because you have to do.
Oh, because
both.
then the numbers would because then the numbers, the position of the numbers would.
Well, you have to manage two separate set of positions.
So we're playing on stream.
And if you move the camera.
What's your list?
Yeah, here's Sam.
Oh, I changed it a bit.
Here, can you come do it quick?
Yeah.
Oh, you can tell me.
It's a victory 2.
Wait, hold on.
Go back.
Hold on a second. Let me log in.
What?
So we can save the list
Yeah.
in case. Okay.
I told him I lost.
Where's the crap spell under your name?
How'd you spell it? There's no I-A-N. It's just A-N.
Okay, so VSD2.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I've got Admiral Sloan.
Is it on the VSD2?
Yep.
Okay.
Then I have
Decaps.
Decaps, yep. And flight controllers and tech slot. And I've got the MS2 ion cannons.
Really? MS1.
MS1,
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, that's it on. Yep.
Okay, and then demo.
The demo, yeah.
The
Demo
2. Yeah.
And I've got ACM.
ACM. Yep.
Yeah, Callus. And Ordnance Experts.
Okay.
And then 3 naked Gazantes.
Which ones? The cheaper ones?
The cheap ones, yep.
Okay.
And then Squadrons, I have Owl Runner.
Yeah.
Muller Mythal. Yep. Valen Rooter.
Yep.
Merrick Stall.
Jendon.
Jendon.
Yeah.
Jonas.
Yep.
A TIE Fighter and a Saber Squadron.
Cool.
It should be in.
We don't need objectives. Okay.
I'll eventually do it so that we can.
All right, Troy.
What's
Where's Troy?
Why does it say 396?
I don't know. What are you missing?
Something's missing.
Are you missing anything on the Gazantes?
Nope.
Is this 121 points of TIE fighters? Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, is there anything missing on the VSD?
Supposed to go faster.
Is there a turbo laser upgrade? Is it QBT or something?
Yeah, it's QBTs.
Well, that doesn't make sense.
How does that? Something's messed up here.
Are you sure you have MS1 ion cannons?
Well, I put it because I dropped 2 TIE fighters, right?
Yeah.
So I should have 8. I should have 8 ships here.
Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah.
I dropped 2 TIE fighters, put in a Valen Rooter.
Okay.
So that saves 3 points, and then I added the MS ion cannons. That's 2 points. Something not costed correctly here? 23, 23.
Are you sure this is ACM or APT?
No, APT, sorry.
I asked you specifically.
Did I said ACM?
Yes, you said ACM, and I said assault concussion missiles.
No, it's APTs.
Okay.
Should be 399. Okay, yeah,
okay.
that makes sense.
All right, Troy, where's Troy? Can you come here for a sec? I want your list. All right, what first ship?
Is that?
Okay, so your list is.
Yeah, I got 3 of those.
3 of these?
Yeah.
Okay, what's on the first one?
They're all the same except for the titles. So the Go Mothma.
Okay, Mothman. Wait, okay, so, sorry, besides Mothman and the title, what else is on this?
Reinforced Blast Doors. XI7.
that's the same in all three?
That is the same on all three, yeah.
Okay. And so one of them has Mothma.
Yeah, Mothma and Lando.
On this one? Mothma and Lando? Okay.
And then each of the other ones has the
Is there a title on this one?
Nope.
Okay.
The other two have the titles.
Not the Mon Calamari X's?
Nope.
Okay, and then
Naked GR75.
that one?
And then a GR75 with Flight Commander. Yeah, Flight Commanders, Jamming Field, and
This guy, Flight Commander, the jamming field, and then RV. Wait,
Jamming Field and and Rapid Launch Bay.
Rapid Launch. Okay. And then squadrons.
2 YT-1500s.
That's it?
Yep.
Alright, cool, thanks.
388.
376.
This is something.
Yeah. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay.
Those are right.
Yeah.
Oh, ordnance experts on all of them, actually.
Okay.
Why wouldn't they have ordnance experts?
Alright, cool.
There you go. Thank you. But I'll still take the other guy doesn't show up. I'll still take the
What's your last name?
White. Like I can still. No longer obviously.
Well, the other guy's just showing up. Jack, Jack, you're playing, right? 3, we're waiting for you. Okay. Did you
Sorry?
Jack's last name.
Smaga. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for those who were waiting for us to go live. So we're taking a short break from all the X-Wing content that we've released lately, and we're going to be bringing just a small Armada game night kit event here at 401 Games. Getting a bit of an echo. Do you hear that? No?
Yeah, but it's because
Oh, okay.
of all this.
All right. So anyway, yeah. So we're bringing a small Armada game night kit event here. It's pre-Wave 7, so that's getting it off this thing. Yeah. Pre-Wave 7, so not as many people have come out to this event as we would like. We're really looking forward to the regional that is going to be hosted here at 401 Games in 2 weeks on February 10th, and Wave 7 will be legal for that event. But as for right now, we're just kind of, testing out some new things that VTTV has got going on for Armada, the Armada streaming setup. And so the first match that we're going to be featuring, it might even be the only match for today. We'll see how the rest of the day goes. Is between Christian, and Christian, I believe, was the 2016 Armada Canadian National Champion. And those of you who also follow our X-Wing content, he's the creator of the Rush Hour X-Wing squad, the TIE Bomber Swarm, that's been featured so many times on our channel. So Christian is a dedicated Imperial player, to say the least. And so he's brought today a variation of his Canadian National winning list, which is just a maximum squadron ball backed up by Victory Star Destroyer and Demolisher. He's running Admiral Sloan, of course, which is the most popular Imperial commander for squadron heavy fleets. And opposite of him is Troy. Troy is one of the newer members of our Toronto Armada scene. And he's actually the one that's graciously donated the playmat that you see on the screen today for us to use. And he's playing what might possibly be the last hurrah of this list post-Wave 7. And it is a Mon Mothma MC-30 torpedo frigate MSU list. And so it's just designed to dive into the middle of Christian's ships and take out as many as possible before Christian's TIE fighters can take out any of his ships. Now, the thing about Mon Mothma is that Mon Mothma's defense tokens, the evade tokens on the MC-30s, because of Mon Mothma, they'll work at close range, which actually means that all of his defense tokens on his MC-30s are actually relevant against bombing runs by the Sloan squadrons. So that's actually going to be a bit of an advantage for Troy here. And we're going to wait to see who decides to take first player and what the objective is going to be.
Yep.
So for those of you who are watching, we've got the chat up as well. So if any of you who have any questions or any comments about the game or Armada in general, just feel free to sound off in the chat, and we can talk about stuff.
Alright, here we go. Just making some tweaks here to our overlays. Introduced some new overlay technologies over from X-Wing to Armada. Still adding functionality, basically just trying to be ready for the regionals that's coming on, coming February 10th here in Toronto. Hopefully we'll see some people here at 401 Games to participate. And hopefully we'll see some of you tuning into the stream as well. You find out who they decided to get first player to?
Yeah, so Troy's first player, and so he's decided to pick the most wanted objective from the list of Christian's objectives. So we're going to be bringing it up on the screen momentarily, but most wanted is a red objective, and so the second player, after deploying fleets, gets to choose a ship of the opponent and a ship of theirs, and each of those ships are worth double their points at the end of the game if they get destroyed. So that's a fairly good. I mean, most wanted generally is the kind of objective that you'd want to avoid in most scenarios, especially if you have a ship that is big and slow and is a huge obvious target. But for Troy's list, I mean, you have three of his biggest ships are all the same. They're the MC-30s, and because they're backed by Mon Mothma, they're actually fairly tanky. So they're all equally hard to kill, and they're fairly maneuverable because they're MC-30s. And that's why, for Troy at least, it's a fairly good objective for him to choose. And of course, MC-30s benefit from being first player just because the torpedo frigates in particular really want to be able to activate first to take advantage of that close range black dice.
It's going to be the last hurrah for the pre-race Wave 7 meta?
Yeah, so I mean, I think a lot of the Toronto people have been talking about what list composition is going to look like post Wave 7, and definitely seeing a lot more large ships on the table because a lot of the really powerful upgrades that have been previewed so far, things like Strategic Advisor, Governor Price, and Bail Organa, those all require you to play at the very least medium ships, I think it is, for Bail Organa and Governor Price, and then Strategic Advisor only goes on large ships. So Strategic Advisor is probably the card that the most people are excited for. I think most of you know what it is already, but for those of you who don't, it's a officer upgrade. You can only put it on a large ship. It's unique and is not faction specific. And the text on the card says, if you would activate, you may instead choose to exhaust this upgrade card, and the activation goes back to your opponent. So the effect of that upgrade card is that it gives you an extra activation as a large ship, and that's one of the things that large ship lists have been deficient in, because MSU lists, multi-small unit lists, can they just spam a bunch of small ships, which gives them a bunch of activation advantage, which allows them to basically outweight a lot of lists with larger ships on them. And positioning is huge in this game, as those of you who play know this. So being able to wait out your opponent's activation, see where their ship moves, stay out of range of their guns perhaps, and then move into favorable arcs and fire on the next turn is a very powerful move. And Strategic Advisor takes back some of that activation advantage back towards lists that have larger ships.
So yeah, it looks like we'll be seeing some very different types of games once that happens. Hopefully folks will join us for regionals and see some of that in action.
So Troy starts with a GR75. I believe that is the GR75 with the jamming field on it. I'm going to have to double check that. So that's his GR75 that he's probably going to keep his squadrons around. You take a look at his squadron composition, which is 2 A-Wings, 2 generic A-Wings, and 2 YT-1300s. Both of them have counter, and the YT-1300s have escort as well. So I guess the idea is to keep them close to the jamming field flotilla, so that enemy squadrons are going to have to take a little bit longer to bring them down. Now, the downside to that, obviously, is that jamming field also obstructs counterattack. So it's going to reduce the counterattack power of Troy's squadrons. So that's a bit of an anti-synergy there, unfortunately.
Yeah, so just to note, we just swapped it around because the top player in this view is going to be on the left-hand side of the screen, and the bottom player will be on the right. It's something that we'll be tweaking our overlay to make a little bit more clear for the next event. But for the time being, just keep in mind that Christian... Oh no, hold on. Yeah.
So I was mistaken. It turns out that the jamming field is actually the one on the bottom of the screen.
Okay.
So the jamming field flotilla also has rapid launch bays. So that's why you see two YT-1300s sitting on top of the flotilla. So they're basically docked with that flotilla. So rapid launch bays is an upgrade that when you activate that ship, if you activate a squadron command with that ship, instead of activating squadrons that are nearby, you can launch a number of squadrons that you have removed from the game at the beginning of the game at distance 1 of that flotilla. And then they can shoot, but they can't move.
There's still a little time. We'll get all the ships labeled for you guys so you know which ships are where. A lot of them are similar loadouts, particularly on Christian's side. Or, sorry, particularly on Troy's side.
So Mothman's this one,
Yeah.
Foresight is this one, and Ammunition is that one.
You said that the jamming field was in the back?
Yeah, the jamming field's in the back.
Now, some of the ships on the other side are a little bit more obvious in terms of which is which.
So this is an interesting setup by Christian, because Christian had deployment advantage due to the amount of squadrons that he had. He was able to see what Troy was able to what Troy was doing with his setup, and he's pointing his VSD towards the 3 MC-30s. Now that VSD does have disposable capacitors, so he's probably looking to start working on something at long range. The Demolisher is also on the other side of that pack of flotilla, so he's trying to create a kill box. So the MC-30s can either turn towards the VSD, in which case the Gladiator can approach unmolested, or they turn towards the Gladiator and try to take that out first, but that puts them in a horrible position if they're going to want to try to turn back around and back into the center of the board, because chasing the Gladiator may effectively mean that they're not going to be able to contribute to the rest of the fight for the rest of the game. Now, it looks like what Christian's trying to do is he's going to try to use his fighters, backed by Sloan, to take out the flotillas plus Troy's fighters. And then I think he's going to see if that's going to be enough to to take out. So sorry, that's going to be enough to win the game. Now, we have to figure out which of the ships is the most wanted ships on either side. So it looks like Christian chose the number 3 Gazanti to be his most wanted ship, and he's indicated that by putting the red token on the base. And then Christian's gone ahead and chosen Mon Mothma, ship number 1, to be the most wanted ship on Troy's side. So he's shown Troy exactly which ship he's probably going to be going after. That's probably the best ship to go after because it is the one MC30 in Troy's list that doesn't have a tanky title like Foresight or Admonition, so it's going to be the easiest one to take out. So going into the first turn of the game, Troy decides to activate his generic flotilla first, sending it away from the main battle. Now, Troy doesn't have any relay abilities on any of his squadrons, so if he's going to be pushing squadrons with that ship, he's going to need to keep it close enough to his squadrons that he can use the squadron command on it.
I mean, is that ship going to be doing anything meaningful? Is that just an activation control?
Yeah.
I don't know that he's thinking about using it for a lot of squadron.
It could be an activation pad because I think after the first squadron engagement, Troy's I don't think is going to have enough squadrons left to push more than 2 at a time, right. Because of Christian's overwhelming force. So you're right, it's probably just an activation pad. Christian takes a nav token on his Gazanti and just moves speed 1, which is pretty much the thing that he does in every for the first turn for every one of his Gazantis.
So it looks like Troy's going to activate his other transport.
Right, and this is the one with the rapid launch base on them.
So yeah, remind me, rapid launch base. I mean, I've played Armada. It's been a long time. I'm not in the game anymore, so I might be asking more questions than usual.
So rapid launch base, it's an offensive retrofit upgrade. Costs 6 points, and what you do at the beginning of the game before you deploy any squadrons, before you deploy anything on the board, you set aside a number of squadrons equal to the squadron value of the rapid launch base ship. So in this case, it's 2 because of the flotilla. Then when you resolve a squadron command with that ship, instead of resolving squadrons normally, you may take a number of squadrons that you set aside and deploy them at distance 1 of the ship that has that rapid launch bay. Mm-hmm. They can't move during that activation, but they can still shoot. So it's kind of like they're docked to that ship, and then you can just fire them out of your ship, kind of like a carrier, right? And the reason why you would do that is because, especially with a squadron like the YT-1300, they only have speed 2.
Right.
So they're fairly slow.
Yeah.
So what rapid launch base allows you to do is it allows a faster ship like a GR-75 to get into position and then dump them into the middle of a squadron fight.
And he's probably just looking, like, taking the tanky YTs there to kind of choke up. Well, the YTs aren't heavy, right? Are they?
They're not heavy, no. They have escort too.
Right.
So the enemy is forced to shoot them first.
So yeah, just looking to gum up Christian's squadron plans for maybe an extra turn or 2.
Yeah. Now Troy's force, I think, is designed to tie up maybe a much smaller screen, like versus a list that isn't all in squadrons like Christian's is. So it'll be interesting to see exactly how long the Troy's screen lasts before the Christian squadrons overrun it. So Troy activated his Foresight as his second activation. Now he's trying to go around the outside of the board, maybe trying to pincer in the Demolisher or forcing the Demolisher to also.
Yeah, I think that was his admonition that he moved out of the middle of the formation.
The Foresight, I think it was so if Mon Mothma is the one with the red most wanted token, Foresight would be this one. So it was Mothma, Foresight, Admonition.
I had the numbers backwards.
Yeah, I mean we can double check that, but so then Troy moves his Admonition, and he's been playing lists with MC30s quite a bit lately. So this is probably his favorite ship in the game. So he's very familiar with the maneuvers, and so that's why he was able to execute actually a really cool maneuver like that and not have them overlap each other. So Christian, interestingly enough, despite choosing Mon Mothma as the most wanted target, he decides to turn into the center of the board. Now that's a good idea just because with the VSD's wide front arc, what it allows him to do is react to whatever Troy is going to do with his MC-30. So if he was actually going to go in a straight line towards the right side of the board, that would, if the MC-30s decide to turn away from him, because the VSD is so clumsy, it would be really hard for him to get his front arc back to bear. But if he turns into the center of the board and goes straight like the way he's doing, and goes slow, then it allows him to react to whatever Troy is doing, and gives him a bigger field of fire for which to counter. I wonder if there's a way to weigh down like every time people walk by,
I know, it's the top.
Vibrates. No, but if we weigh down the tripod, then it would. So now that Troy's activated all his ships, Christian gets to decide where his Demolisher goes. So that's also an advantage for Christian. They both have 5 ships in their list, and because Christian's a second player, he gets to activate his demo as his last activation after Troy's activated all his ships. So now on to the squadron phase. Troy's going to try to keep his squadrons close to the GR-75 that has the rapid launch base and the jamming field on it to take advantage of those jamming fields. So Christian, that red squadron he just moved was Merrick Steel, I believe. Now, normally, I think you don't want to jump Merrick Steel out in the middle. Like, Merrick Steel, in my opinion, is more of a late game piece, and not the squadron you want to push out into the middle of the field on the very first turn of the game. The reason why he may choose to do that is just because Troy's fighter contingent isn't as dangerous as say another Sloan Ball or a Rican Aces list. So. He may be a bit more brazen with Merrick Steel in this game. So that's Captain Jonas. Christian is activating. Captain Jonas actually is a very important piece in a list like this, and it's the reason why Christian decided to play with a Gladiator 2 instead of a Gladiator 1.
Dave, leave. Dave always leave.
So Parker McClintock says Christian can't do what he just did. He moved his ship, then changed his mind, moved differently. Yes, if this was a regional or even a store championship, I think the TO would force him to hold him to his original movement. But this is a game night kit. It's a casual event. There's only like 4 people here today, so the emphasis for today is fly casual as opposed to. You move it and you're stuck with it. So anyway, to complete my previous thought, Captain Jonas pairs well with the GSD-2 because the GSD-2 has a red die on the front and the side arcs. And Captain Jonas's ability is whenever a ship is attacking another ship that is distance 1 of Captain Jonas, they can turn any one of their attack dice to a side that has an accuracy. So GSD-1s, while they may have more pure firepower with their black dice, their 4 black dice out their side arcs, because they can't secure accuracies against flotillas or even against bigger ships with a brace token, they can't lock down the brace or the scatter token, which may make the attack a lot less effective than if you were able to guarantee an accuracy with each attack. So Jonas generally doesn't get into any squadron fights. He tries to stay as far away from the fight as possible, and what a GSD-2 will do it'll bank a squadron token so that when it activates, as part of its activation, it will use a squadron token to move Captain Jonas and try to move it to distance 1 of whatever the ship they want to attack is. Now, Troy moves his A-Wing into the center of Christian's squadron ball in an effort to try to keep everything pinned down by engaging them. However, Jonas' second ability is that he has Grit, and Grit is an ability that says whenever it's engaged by only one squadron, it can still move. So it's a very useful ability, and because Grit most of the time is not relevant, the times where it is relevant, the opponent, at least in my experience, forgets that squads with Grit have Grit.
Yeah.
So I've seen them where they've tried to lock it down with a single squadron, and then they just move away, and they're like, oh, wait a minute.
Looks like you put a little damage there onto... What's the red defender?
Merrick Steele.
Okay.
Yeah.
So put a little damage on Merrick. He used his
Brace token.
And
Okay, so
Troy moves that transport off the bottom of the screen.
yeah, so that's the naked transport, the activation, the thing that we've determined to be the activation pad, I think.
Yeah.
It's Christian measuring distance to the MC30. Merrick Steele does have speed 5, and actually Merrick Steele also has Grit.
Does he?
So
Okay.
yeah,
I
he's
was
not.
wondering, he's not able to get out of that.
Yeah.
Get away from that A-wing. Okay.
Yeah, actually, a lot of the Imperial aces that are played these days have Grit. Well, maybe not a lot of them, but the ones that are very good at anti-ship fire,
Right.
especially.
It just makes it so that unless you really invest in tying down the screen, you're not going to be able to do it with just a couple ships.
Absolutely.
Because like even if you did bring a second A-wing in here, Christian can potentially deal with one of the A-wings to free up some of the critical pieces to move into range on some of the ships.
And this is generally why a bare bones screen hasn't been as popular lately. Just because the most popular lists on both the Imperial and the Rebel side these days is a squadron heavy list.
And Christian's there just making sure that he's as far away as possible, so even if Troy moves, he may still be in range next round.
Okay, so Christian rolls 2 dice. At least one of them is a crit, the other one went off screen. It's not easy to tell what it is.
Yeah, this view is not going to really help us either.
Well, they both look like 2 crits.
I mean, you'll probably, we're just going to try to listen to some of the table audio. Hopefully they'll call out what they're doing. Victor will be able to tell us what's happening.
Okay, so yeah, Christian rolled 2 crits. He rolled a crit and a accuracy. He used the Sloan ability to change it to to spend one of Troy's defense tokens, and then Troy used the Mothma's ability to use one of his evade tokens to reroll Merrick Steele's crit die. Yeah, and listening to the table audio, Troy just realized that those ships had Grit, so his squadrons aren't doing the job that he wanted them to do. So Christian is activating Valen Rudor now, and
He was out of range.
He was out of range. So Vale and Rooter is actually the perfect squadron to use against any sort of ships that have counterattack. And the reason for that is Vale and Rooter's ability is when the ship you're attacking, when a ship is engaged with another squadron, another friendly squadron,
Sure.
it can attack Vale and Rooter.
Right.
So that includes counterattacks.
Yeah.
So, and he rolls 3 black dice. So black dice are very good against
And the blue?
generics. Yeah, the blue is because of flight controllers. So Christian is using his VSD.
Is that 4 hits?
Yeah, 4 hits. So that was enough
So
to take out
goodbye,
the
A-wing?
Yep.
Ouch.
So that's 1 A-wing down, and as mentioned before, because of Vale and Rooter's ability, Troy wasn't even able to do a counterattack.
So he was using the shuttle to. Now why can't I remember the keyword?
To relay.
Really?
And sorry, I was mistaken. It wasn't the VSD, it wasn't flight controller, it was Howl Runner adding an extra blue die because it has
of
swarm.
course,
Yeah.
it has swarm, yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay, so Troy activates his GR75, number 4, and he's done a squadron command with it. And so that GR75 has Flight Commander on it. So what that lets him do is he allows him to activate his squadron command after his move as opposed to before. And so the combo is you get to move your GR75 into position, then use Flight Commander and Rapid Launch Base to drop the YT-1300s into position. So this is a really cute combo. I've seen variations where they put B-Wings instead of YT-1300s, and you just use the GR75 to jump in front of a ship and then drop the B-Wings and use them as kind of like extra anti-ship armament for the GR75.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be able to get them, close enough to do what he really wants to be able to do here. Like he wants to try to lock Jonas down, I assume, and he's not going to be able to get that close.
No, I think Jonas is a lost cause, but I think he may want to try to take out Colonel Jendon here, the shuttle. Because once Jendon is down, because Christian has spread out his Gazantes so much, if Jendon dies, then those Gazantes can't push squadrons anymore until they get closer into the fight.
But I mean, yeah, the one Gazanti lowest on the screen, I mean, he doesn't really have much of a threat. He can turn back into that fight if he really wants to contribute. Although, it won't take long for the torpedo frigates to make their way over.
Yep. So Troy drops his other YT-1300, but he's not engaging anyone with that.
I think he maybe wants to put that in the path of be able to use it to put it in the path of admonition to prevent the fighter swarm that's going to be heading that way.
Yeah, because if the YT-1300 is engaged with any of those squadrons, then that means that they won't be able to shoot at the admonition. They'll have to shoot at the YT-1300 instead.
But I mean, all Christian has to do is lock down the YT.
Yep.
It's not going to be able to reposition next turn to kind of do what he needs to do.
So Christian activated another one of his Gazantes, and he did a squadron command. And now he's just deciding which ones to activate.
What are the choices do you think he's weighing here? Is it about getting rid of the flimsy fighter shield or start working in on the ships?
So he's activating his Gazanti, which means that he's only going to be activating 2 fighters this turn. If you want, you probably want to save your VSD activation to activate your fighters because it allows you to activate the most fighters all at once.
Yeah.
Which allows you to use as many Swarm and Howl Runner dice addition abilities as possible to take out those fighters.
And you get the flight controllers as well.
And the flight controllers as well. So the Gazanti probably would want to activate a squadron that goes after his ships instead of his squadrons. And so that looks like what he's doing. I think he's taking one of his TIE fighters that aren't engaged by the YT-1300. And... okay, so he's activating Mauler Mythil here. And Mauler Mythil's ability is, after he finishes his movement, every squadron, enemy squadron he's engaged with takes 1 damage. So he's going to jump into the middle of, well, not into the middle, but at least engage the 2 YT-1300s. So they both take 1 damage. And now he's going to perform an attack. He's checking to see if he's in range 1 of Howl Runner, which I believe he is.
Yep.
So he's going to add a die, but he's also going to remove a die because of Jamming Field.
What is the range on Jamming Field?
So distance 1 to 2. So Sloan reroll, he gets an accuracy in 2 hits. So that YT-1300 takes 2 hits. And so yeah, sorry, if a ship is attacking or defending at distance 2 of Jamming Field, the attack is obstructed. Okay. So it's going to apply for a ship that's, even if the ship it's, so if a ship is at distance 2 of a jamming field, a squadron rather,
okay,
even if it's attacking a squadron that is outside of the jamming field, because the ship that is attacking is at distance 2, it's obstructed.
So he didn't, but he, okay.
Yeah, he removed a die, but then he added a die for Howl Runner, so you had 3. So he's activating a generic TIE Fighter now, and he's going to attack the same YT-1300. Yeah, and so Howl Runner adds a die, and then Jamming Field removes a die. Gets a Swarm reroll, and he gets
2 hits.
No, I think the 3rd hit is off screen, so he got 3 hits there. And
that's what it's got 1 hit point left. One hull.
So it had 7. And it took 1 from Mauler. It took 2, so that's 3, and then it took another 3. Yeah, so it has 1 HP left. And this is where this is kind of the anti-synergy coming into play with a jamming field and YT-1300. Troy hasn't been able to make a counterattack because the counterattack is 1 blue die, but it's obstructed by the jamming field. So Troy activating one of his torpedo frigates. It's a navigate command, and he's flacking Merrick Steel. So it's the I believe that is
accuracy there. So
yeah, I believe that's admonition that he's activating.
It is.
So with no other targets, he's gonna move his ship, and I think I think his objective is he's going to try to thread between the Gazanti and the VSD and maybe try to come around the rear of that ship. Now, the thing is, the VSD hasn't activated yet, and it has disposable capacitors. And I think that's what Troy is checking right now. So he wants to just be aware of that when he moves into range of the VSD, he's gonna eat a 6 dice attack from the disposable capacitors. Now, well, it would be bigger than 6 dice because the Victory 2 has quad battery turrets, and it looks like Troy's going at speed 3 with that admonition, so it would actually be 7 dice. Okay, so Troy, I think realizes that, and instead of trying to get behind Christian's gun line, he's going to try to stay out of long range of Christian's VSD. So he overlaps Mauler Mythil, and so that allows, not Mauler Mythil, Merrick Steel allows him to reposition it. And Troy measures, and it's just out of long range, looks like.
So yeah, that is ammunition. We have them labeled correctly.
Yeah, just out of long range.
you know, I suppose I could update the numbers before we
Yeah,
come back
I know.
to this view.
It's going to take some getting used to. So those of you watching in the chat, if you've got any thoughts about upcoming Wave 7, if any of you are going to be sad, sad about the fact that so many big ships are going to be in the meta, or MSU may not be as popular anymore, that sort of thing, let us know.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think is going to be the standout? Like,
so Radis, I've heard a lot of differing opinions on Admiral Radis. Some people think it's just kind of like a clever gimmick. It's not going to be competitive, and other people think that it's the kind of ability that you know, especially with bigger ships that have weak arcs, it can really take advantage of jumping a ship into an arc that isn't as strong and like kind of decimating an opponent's backline. So what Admiral Radis does, this is more for the benefit of Travis than for viewers who probably know what it is.
Oh, yeah.
Admiral Radis is the new Rebel commander that is coming with the Profundity.
yeah, oh yes, I know. The commander from Rogue One,
Yep.
the Moncal commander from Rogue One.
So at the beginning of the game, you're going to set aside a ship, and at the start of any turn, you can deploy that set-aside ship at distance 1 of any of your ships.
That's some
Oh,
attacks.
sorry. Yeah.
So that's the last damage on that YT.
Yeah, YT's down.
Down to 1 each.
So that would be 13 plus 11, so that's 24 points for Christian. No, for Christian.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if only you got points for losing stuff, I think I would win every tournament I was in. Yeah, but I mean, not only
Radis,
that,
you were saying.
Yeah, so Radis allows you to jump into the rear line of an opponent's ship line with any size ship. So you can even do a big ship. So that's really going to screw up people's deployment and positioning. But what I think the biggest meta-changing cards are going to be are what we were talking about earlier, things like Strategic Advisor and Bail Organa for the Rebels and Governor Price for the Imperials. Because what the two officers, the named officers, Bail Organa and Governor Price do, they sort of guarantee that a list can have a first activation or last activation.
Yeah.
So Bail Organa guarantees a first activation on one specific turn that you have to name at the start of the game. Governor Price guarantees a last activation on a specific turn. So a lot of these lists that rely on bidding aggressively to gain either first or second player,
Right.
it would be countered by a list that has Governor Price or Bail Organa, because if they themselves don't have Price or Organa, they will lose that last or first activation on a critical turn. So I think that's really going to affect the way games play out.
So that was moving Jonas right in against the transport?
Yeah, so Jonas bombed the side of the transport. It dealt 1 damage, and it looks like Troy didn't use his scatter on that attack. So he's probably afraid that if he uses his scatter here, Christian can activate another squadron.
Well, it's not just that. Like, isn't the VSD in range?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
it is in range, but it may be obstructed.
I think that's probably what he was checking for with the ruler before, was seeing whether it was going to be an obstructed shot from the VSD.
Yeah, perhaps.
Eyeballing it myself, it looked... I can't tell. We should have
Yeah.
paid more attention when they were measuring. I gotta not do that. It's habit whenever I update the numbers, I change...
That's good. This is practice for regionals.
So yeah, if you have any also advice for the stream, what looks good, what doesn't, whether leave the ship lists up all the time,
Yep.
Take them out, get a better overhead cam.
Armada is something that we really want to do more of. I think there's been a bit of a lack of, especially competitive Armada content. I know there's some really good videos by content producers like Krabok and Master of the Fleet who do a lot of really good strategic videos for Armada. But as far as Armada competitive play, I know the last video that we did for Armada was the Canadian Nationals, which was
back in September.
Back in September, it was very well received, and we're looking to do more of that more often on this channel. So yeah, so any suggestions for improvements or anything like that would be greatly appreciated, because we do want to produce really high quality Armada content in the future. So Christian's activating his Victory Star Destroyer as a squadron command, and he also spends his disposable capacitors, and that's something you do have to announce at the start of the activation. So he's gonna use the squadrons first. And yeah, I think he's looking to try to pick off that other thing. So his first activation is going to be Saber Squadron with a snipe attack. And so it's going to be 4 dice. Yeah, 4 dice plus 1 for flight controllers, plus 1 for Howl Runner, minus 1 for jamming field. Yeah, so it's going to be a 5 dice attack here with a swarm reroll. So Saber Squadron is amazing in a Sloan list just because the pure amount of dice it can throw out with a swarm reroll. Yeah. So there's.
Yeah. So he's just saying we measured Mythil before. We know he's in range, so we know his swarm is gonna.
Okay, so out of 5 dice, it looks like he got 2 damage. So not a great roll.
Lucky for Troy.
Yeah, bit luck for Troy. But again, because of that jamming field, he's not able to counterattack Saber Squadron.
So 4 hull left on that YT, I believe.
So this
he wants to get Jendon in play for activating Merrick next turn.
Yeah, well, so he's going to use Jendon to double tap with Saber. So now. Yeah, so now, because you're using Jendon's ability to activate Saber Squadron again, it actually doesn't get the extra die from flight controllers.
Okay, fair.
Because it's not considered to be activated by...
it's activated by Jendon and not...
being activated by Jendon. It's attacking through Jendon, not attacking through the thing. So it's going to only be 4 dice attack here. So it looks like another 2 damage with the Swarm reroll.
So
that brings him down to...
We've been counting, it's 2 left.
Yeah, so 1 from Mauler Mythil, plus 2 damage, plus 2 damage.
So 2 left, right?
So I think those were all the squadrons he had, so he was only able to activate 2 squadrons through the VSD. So
now, the other one called the...
So now here's a disposable capacitors shot. Yeah. So it's normally 6 dice, 3 red, 3 blue. He adds 1 for quad battery, removes 1 for obstruction. Yeah. So he's just describing that. So this is the power of Jonas I was talking about. That's why he moved it within range 1. Jonas changes one of his dice into an accuracy. He rolled a natural accuracy from another one of his dice, and he had 4 damage, so that was enough to kill it from long range, and Troy couldn't do anything about it. So Jonas plus a long range ship are really good at killing flotillas, and that is the power of Jonas. So moving his VSD, he overlaps the station. Doesn't have a damage card on it though, so he doesn't take the effect. But he does overlap one of his TIE fighters.
2, I think.
Yeah.
Both Mythil and.
Yep. So yeah. So Mauler Mythil got overlapped. Troy decided to put him on the rear of the VSD, which, in my opinion, may not be the best move, just because that freed up Mauler Mythal to move again.
Yeah, I would leave him touching. I mean, he's going to have other things to kill off the YT and free up Mythal to move anyways, so it's not going to, I don't think it's going to really matter. But, yeah, you're right. Leaving him there, still engaged with the YT, takes that option off the table, at least for the first activation.
So Troy's activating Mon Mothma with a nav command using the dial. So it looks like he's trying to box in the Gladiator. So this is Troy's last activation, which means that Christian is going to be activating his Demolisher next. But what Troy is trying to do here is trying to create a situation where no matter where Christian goes, and he will get his Demolisher shot, so he's going to be able to get a black dice shot if he's moving fast enough against any of Troy's two ships there. Because Troy is first player, Troy is almost guaranteed, if Christian is going fast enough, to get a black dice shot on the next turn. So yeah, Christian is activating. I can't tell what that command is. I think it was a nav command that Christian dialed in for his Demolisher. Now, he either forgot to or elected not to take his first shot before moving. And it may just be because, like, at long range against a Mothma torpedo frigate, you're not really going to do anything with 2 red dice, or it's very unlikely. And what that allows you to do is it allows you to move, and you still have the option of shooting from your front arc at close range with Demolisher if you chose not to fire at long range with it.
So you did say he used the disposable capacitors.
He did use disposable capacitors.
Those are gone now.
Yep. Oh, this is gone, by the way.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yep. But you already added the points.
I did
right?
the points.
Yeah.
But Christian's just taking a little bit of time here to weigh his options.
Yeah, and
I guess we don't know what the most wanted ships are.
Yeah, sorry. The most wanted ship is the Mon Mothma, this ship
really?
number 1. Yeah. And this Gazanti right here, number 3.
So he did decide to do his attack?
Yeah. I mean, technically he's not allowed to.
Yeah, he can't measure his movement before
Yeah, he can't measure his movement for it. Interesting. So he chooses to burn Lando this attack.
Same rule, though?
Yeah. So, yeah, he's just going to use an evade token to cancel, and then he just takes one, most likely on the front side. So, I think there's 2 shields remaining on the front.
Yeah, so generally you wouldn't be able to, once you're measuring with your movement, you're in your movement phase, you couldn't go back and do an attack.
Yeah.
As we said, this is relatively casual right now.
Yeah. So he, makes his move. It was a speed 2 move, and it looks like it was beyond short range. Yeah. So he only gets 1 red die out the side, and it's 1 hit. And because Mon Mothma's ability, she can use evade tokens to cancel dice at medium range. So that's what Troy does.
So the send dials for next. Oh no, I guess there's probably the A-wing needs to activate.
Yeah. And so it wasn't engaged with anyone, so all it can do is move. So he's moving it to make sure he's engaged with both Jendon and Merrick Steele.
But Merrick has grit, so it won't matter.
That's right. He also wants to make sure he's out of flak range of that Gazanti.
Grit lets you attack or move, or just move?
No, just move.
Okay.
Yeah. So he can't stay there and shoot, but he can move out of engagement range and shoot.
maybe he's hoping. What is the roll for?
I don't know. Let's find out.
Oh, sorry. That was the YT who still hadn't activated this turn. I mentioned it. All right, so now we're setting dials for round 3.
Yeah, round 3 now.
So it worked out pretty well for Troy not to get the side barrage from
the demo.
Gladiator. Yeah.
Well, that was more Christian's doing, because Christian doesn't want because Troy is going to activate first. Yeah. Especially with how tanky MC30s are. Yes, he would get a side attack. It wouldn't do a lot of significant damage, but then Troy, because he activates first, he would be able to.
Right.
Especially with external racks on his MC30, he gets to roll extra dice. So it could be a devastating first strike by his opponent. Now, one thing I forgot to mention is he didn't actually do a concentrate fire, but you'll notice that Christian was rolling 3 red dice on his first demo attack and then 2 red dice on his side attack. That's because he was shooting at Mon Mothma, which is the most wanted ship, and the most wanted ship. Whenever a most wanted ship is being attacked, you get to add an extra die of the same color that is in the attack pool. Yeah. Okay, so Troy looks like he's going to activate his foresight first. He has a nav command, and it looks like it's medium range, and only in the side arc, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
So the side arc of a torpedo frigate has 2 blue dice. So he's going to shoot at the rear arc of the demo. Looks like 2 damage. So Christian has he can use any, yeah. So he can use all 3 of his defense tokens.
Will he have line of sight? I don't know if he has line of sight in the back of the demo.
It's hard to tell from this angle, but
yeah, I can't.
Yeah. Yeah, Christian's just deciding, just seeing what else can shoot at that demo before he decides what to take. So he just decides to brace, which is gonna, he takes 1 damage, and that's gonna bring it down to 0 shield on the rear of the demo. So with no other shots, Troy is going to move, and he's probably gonna try to move so that he is out of the side arcs of the demo. And looks like speed 3. Wow, that's really aggressive, because that actually puts him right in the side arc of that Demolisher. Now, that ship is Foresight, and what Foresight allows him to do is, when he spends an evade token, he gets to do that effect on 2 dice, and when he spends a redirect token, he gets to redirect to 2 adjacent zones. And Foresight is probably best paired with Mothma because of the effectiveness of evade tokens at close range. So it's just, I think this is one of the Gazantes activating.
He's in no rush to activate the demo.
No. Yeah, he's gonna want to wait until all of Troy's torpedo frigates have activated before he activates the demo, I think. So this is Jonas moving in again with his squadron activation. He wants to stay out of engagement range of that A-wing. And so he's going to bomb the front of that, I believe it's admonition. So 1 damage. And he's just going to take it. Troy's just going to take it on the front. No, he chooses to redirect it, actually.
All right. I'm trying to decide what else he's going to activate. I think he has a ton of options, really, just because there's only so much in range of Jendon right now.
So if he wants to bomb that torpedo, he's going to move out. He's going to have to move out of range, yeah. So with grit, he moves to the back of the admonition and then chooses to bomb. So he's going to reroll a crit with Sloane's ability. So he gets a hit crit, and then with Merrick Steele's ability, he can change any of his dice to a crit. So that's 2 damage, and Troy's going to redirect from the back to the side. So I believe there's no more shields left on the left side of that MC-30. And Merrick Steele is just so good with Sloane. Like, with Sloane, there's pretty much no blank sides for Merrick Steele.
Yeah.
Like, you can guarantee a crit, and what you want to do most of the time is if you get a crit, you just re-roll it to try to fish for an accuracy. So, like, you can even do a thing where even if you roll no crits, use Merrick Steele's ability to turn it to a crit, then you re-roll it in the hopes of getting an accuracy, and if you don't get an accuracy, where you're getting a hit regardless.
Yeah, so looks like it's activating admonition, firing into the front of number 4, one of the Gazantes. Looks like it was maybe 2 hits, so I expect to scatter.
Yeah.
Now he's just deciding.
So it looks like he's shooting. Yeah, he's shooting at the back and shoots at Merrick. That's 1 hit. Yeah. And with the threat of disposable capacitors gone, Troy doesn't need to stay completely out of long range of that VSD anymore. And very smartly deciding to put that rock between himself and the VSD, so even a long range shot is really not going to be able to do much damage. Now Troy might be trying to set up a run against the most wanted Gazanti, because if he pops that, that's going to be 46 points for Troy because of that most wanted objective token. The problem now, though, is Troy has lost one of his flotillas, which means that he's actually at a bit of an activation disadvantage now. Parker McCormick says Sloane has made Empire squadrons more powerful than Rebels. I agree completely. I think that if you go squadron by squadron, Imperial squadrons are superior in terms of abilities. Like if you look at stuff like Mauler Mythil, Merrick Steele, those are all just a really good squad. Colonel Jendon is probably I want to say Colonel Jendon is probably the best squadron that came out of the second squadron pack for Imperials.
So hits the Y2, who's able to counterattack this time because no more jamming field.
And
the Y2's off the table.
Yeah, and the counterattack was scattered. But yeah, anyway, to complete my thought, the so Rebels have good squadrons, but I think by and large they're still better simply because you have Riken and Gallenhaven, and I think it's because of those two elements that Rebel Aces are still super competitive. Well, Yavaris too, I guess.
Yavaris too is pretty good.
But yeah, before Sloan, I don't think there were a lot of people that were playing TIE Swarms. And I think it's really cool that something as iconic as a large brick of ties is competitive now in Armada.
Right.
Because of Sloan. This is Saber Squadron, I think. So yeah, Saber Squadron. He's going to try to snipe the A-Wing. And Saber Squadron, again, you know, that snipe ability being very relevant.
All right, looks like A-Wing comes off the table.
Yeah, so those 4 hits, 2 accuracies. 4 hits enough to take out a full health A-Wing. So that's another 11 points.
You've already done a
Christian.
damage, I think, before.
Yeah.
With the,
oh, that's true, yeah. So this looks like a rear. So from the front to the rear of admonition. And they're just
Still
trying
obstructed.
trying to see if it's obstructed.
Just trying to make sure. I think he has line of sight.
Yeah.
Like, looks like it might be coming over the other hull zone, but
So they're just gonna roll to see if it's obstructed. Okay. It was so close
no,
because
it's definitely obstructed. Oh yeah.
sorry, if the line of sight was blocked
Yeah.
from yellow dot to yellow dot. So he's shooting at the side now. Jonas changed one of the blue dice into red dice into an accuracy.
Yeah.
And he added a blue dice too because of quad battery turrets. So it looks like a hit accuracy. Christian pointing out that Jonas isn't actually that great against shrimps, so-called shrimps, MC30s, just because they have so many redundant defense tokens.
Right.
That you can accuracy one and they'll just use the other.
Well, I mean that ships are. He'd already used 2 redirects against the fighters.
Yep. So it looks like what Troy did, he used an evade token and then he burned a redirect with admonition's ability to cancel the other die.
Fair. Runs over the fighter.
Yeah. So far, this game has been going the way I think Christian wanted it to go, which was he used his fighters to just clean up Troy's fighters, get some points that way, kill the flotilla, the rapid launch bay flotilla, and now he's going to try to kill at least one torpedo frigate. That's probably going to put him at, even if he loses a Gazanti or something like that, that's probably going to put him at an 8-3 victory. Or a 7-4 at the very least. So in order for Troy to come back or even win this game, his torpedo frigate's going to need to take out Demo, and Admonition is probably going to need to take out the most wanted Gazanti as well. So those two need to go down, I think, in order for Troy to win. So Christian is now deciding to activate his Demolisher. It's safe for him to do so now that the 2 other torpedo frigates have activated, and he can move out of range of the black dice of Troy's Mon Mothma ship. So now Christian's deciding whether or not he wants to make his side arc shot, whether or not it's actually going to matter. Okay, so he will take that side arc shot against the front of that MC30. So Troy spent an evade to make him reroll a hit crit. So it turns out it's 3 damage. And because of foresight, he also rerolls another damage. So he actually got rid of Christian. It looks like Christian rolled 2 crits there, but Foresight's title allowed him to use the evade token to reroll both of those, and they turned up no crit. So Christian wasn't able to proc the APTs.
Right.
So Christian currently at speed 2 with that demo. Maybe trying to see if he can go to speed 3 and try to catch Admonition in the rear.
I don't think it's got enough juice to get there.
No, if the demo is beyond Range Ruler 4, I believe, of a ship, if it's going speed 3, then it won't be able to get into close range. So I think the best bet for Christian is to turn around and try to come up against Mon Mothma in the rear, but the problem is because if he tries to chase after Admonition, because Troy is able to activate first in the following turn, he's not going to be able to catch it. So now Christian is just checking to see if he can actually get within close range to make a front arc black dice shot. Christian is lamenting that the demo is just a little too slow to catch the Admonition.
Did we get 7?
No.
Did you just send us an invite?
We have a lot of subscribers.
How many we have?
Almost 600. No, followers, yeah.
Are you really? I thought we only had like a few. So he makes his move, and then he's going to just check again. So firing 2 reds at the rear of Admonition. Doesn't look like he hit anything. Now, I don't know if Mon Mothma's going to be able to avoid this. So it looks like she overlaps the rock there. Yeah.
Tries to adjust, make sure that she gets both arcs on the Gladiator.
So now Troy has to choose one hull zone to take all the damage from that overlapping the asteroid, which is 2 damage. So he takes 2 in the rear. And just looking from the overhead display, it does look like he's going to be able to get a short-range black dice shot, maybe even a double arc black dice shot against Christian
his movement at the last minute.
Yeah.
And yes, we realized that he'd put the pegs in.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be able to change the range ruler. Flying casual here.
So, I mean, I think that's worth it. You take the 2 damage and you get Demolisher off the board.
He has no way to avoid taking that damage.
So now in hindsight, actually, I think Christian should have waited until Troy moved his Mon Mothma before moving his Demolisher, because then Troy wouldn't have been able to react to the Demolisher's movement.
The actual position?
Yeah. I mean, I think what Troy was trying to do, or what Christian, I think maybe the reason why Christian moved his demo first is that if he moved his other Gazantes first, it might have gotten in the way of Demolisher moving there.
Absolutely.
But now that's kind of, it's turned out that it may not be for the best.
Well, and it may also be like that Gazanti movement, and it may have put it in range of Mon Mothma to take a pot shot.
Yeah.
Before she moved.
All right, so that's Christian did a squad command. TIE Fighter went and shot at the back of the ammunition, rolled an accuracy, and then with Sloan's ability, spent one of his redirects. Okay, so with the second activation, we'll take the same rear shot again against that torpedo frigate. Yeah, so he rolls another accuracy, and now he spends a red redirect. So that's a redirect gone on admonition. So now Christian's trying to see if he can shoot. Yeah, I think it was number 4 that activated. So.
Yeah.
If it is number 4, if he's trying to take a side arc shot, it is obstructed. So he doesn't get that 1 blue die. So now he's got to move. Was he going at speed 2? Oh man, if he was going at speed 2, that's... He does have that nav token, so he can slow down. And I think now he's trying to see if at speed 1 will even get him anywhere, or if it'll bump into a demo.
No, it looks like he fits in there.
Yeah, just barely.
It is starting to look pretty congested in the middle there.
Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing for Mon Mothma's torpedo frigate, because when a non-flotilla overlaps a flotilla, only the flotilla takes damage.
Good. And he just needs to make sure the Gladiator's dead.
Yeah. Well, not only that, actually, but if the MC-30 can't move far enough, it's going to stay on that rock. So if it overlaps a flotilla and stays on that rock, it's going to take another 2 damage. So this might actually turn out well for Christian. I mean, if he loses the demo, that's bad still, but... So this is Christian activating his last Gazanti, and this is going to be a squadron command. And I think at this point, both redirect tokens are gone from the admonition.
Yeah. Are gone? Like, discarded, you mean?
Yeah, discarded. Because he spent them using the accuracy results with Sloan's ability, I believe, yeah.
I think from early on, advantage luckily went Christian's way. I mean, taking out the Gladiator will be pretty big, but there's still a lot of squadrons for Troy to have to survive.
So that's 2 damage with a concentrate fire command, was it? I think? Yeah. I think you're redirected.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's anywhere for that Gazanti to go.
Oh, 2 accuracies. So that was he was shooting at the Mon Mothma's torpedo frigate. Because of Most Wanted, he got an extra blue die. But unfortunately, you can't use Sloan's ability with ship attacks. So those accuracies did nothing. So now Christian's going to try to see if he can squeeze in.
I don't think he can.
No? Maybe the overhead camera can give us a better idea about that? No. Yeah, I don't think so. I think even if you do an inside turn, inside one joint turn, and now he's trying to see if he can even accelerate and
no, he
get out of it.
Doesn't get clear.
So it looks like he's going to bump his own He's going to bump his own flotilla. Or maybe not. Maybe he's just trying to see if he can actually do this maneuver. Yeah, that's going to bump. The back will fishtail. I don't think that's enough. Yeah, the shield dials are going to touch each other.
Sure.
So I don't think, unless there's some way for him to go speed 3, I don't think there's any way of getting out of this. I mean, it's not the end of the world. These are just naked Gazantes. But it is unfortunate that they're both going to be taking 1 damage each here.
I mean, if Troy's able to take out the Demolisher next turn, and he doesn't maintain the activations from the Gazantes, it could be a tougher slog for Christian than it looked. I don't think we have any squadron activations left over, so I think it's just going to dials here.
Yeah, so we're going to turn 4 now. Troy most likely going to activate Mon Mothma first. And I think she was going at speed 3. I can't recall.
I don't think she was going. I think she was only going at speed 2.
So I don't know. Even if you kill the Demolisher, I don't know if speed 3 is going to be able to let you clear the 2 Gazantes. So while you take out the Demolisher, you just have to be worried about eating that rock again.
Yeah. I mean, it's either eat the rock or eat arc from the VSD. So.
Well, the funny thing is, like, eating a side arc from VSD may not be that bad, because you can at least spend defense tokens against it. You just can't spend defense tokens against a rock.
Fair.
Yeah, so this is Troy attacking the demo.
Just making sure that he has both arcs.
I couldn't tell what dial it was that Troy revealed, but he said he was spending it. So they're trying to check if I think Troy has. Okay.
Yeah, he definitely. He's hitting the back, I think, with both.
So he's going to shoot the front to the rear first, and he does have external racks, but he doesn't have to decide to use that until he sees his initial roll. So he Ordnance Experts first. He only gets 2 hits. And so it's 2 damage. XI7's only allows Christian to redirect 1 damage. So Christian spends a brace and a redirect token to redirect to the right side of the Demolisher, the far side. So now here's the side arc to the rear. And now they're just double checking to see if that is indeed in arc. It doesn't look like it. I mean, it's hard to tell from this angle, but it looks like
not in the rear.
Yeah, it looks like it.
It looks like he had to do front to back and side to side.
Yeah.
Oh, come on! All right.
All right. So they're just gonna get someone to. They're gonna just get someone to check that if it's indeed in the rear arc. But it looks to me that he's not. He doesn't have that rear arc shot. So if Troy doesn't roll an accuracy with his blue die, actually, this may turn out to be a situation where Christian's ship doesn't. Yeah, where Christian's ship doesn't die here. So it's determined that he can't shoot the rear arc. So it's going to be a side arc shot. So rolling off screen, but it looks like he's going to spend the external racks here. So it looks like, actually, wow, this looks like a really good roll. Crit, hit, accuracy, and a regular hit. Ordnance Experts. He rolls a double hit. No, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 9 damage that went through, and he accuracy the brace. So that was yeah. Yeah. So he's just subtracting the damage from that's going to be absorbed by the shields. Looks like there's 5 left over, which is exactly how much hull is on a Demolisher. And Troy with a really amazing roll that kind of rescued him there from having that Demolisher survive. So now comes the unenviable task of trying to escape this box and not eat another 2 damage from the rock.
Well, now with the Gladiator gone, you can slide in front.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, no, you can't. I was thinking you could slide in front if you were switching sides of the...
Well, the other thing to keep in mind is that those Gozantes, I mean, because Mon Mothma is the most wanted.
Can you do that move?
So he tried to do a speed 2 maneuver.
Yeah.
And when you can't do it, you walk it back.
Oh,
and if you walk it back, you can overlap your tool. Yeah.
I can't tell if he's clipped the rock or not.
Check.
Fair enough.
So the problem with this position now is because Mon Mothma is most wanted, those Gozantes are throwing 2 blue dice per arc.
He cleared it.
Oh, so it looks like he cleared the rock, so that's at least a bit fortunate for him.
Well, it's pretty good. Clears the rock, does the damage to the Gozante.
So yeah, despite all that work that Christian did on Troy's squadrons and his flotilla, with that 1 ship kill, Troy is now in the lead. And if he can secure that, if he can secure the kill on the most wanted Gozante at the start of turn 5, after moving admonition number 2 into position, I think that might just be enough to secure the lead. He just needs to make sure that Mon Mothma doesn't die from the Gozante shots his turn. Because not only is he taking fire from the 2 Gozantes, he's going to be taking fire from the VSD side arc.
And presumably a lot of fighters.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to switch off of admonition or... I mean, I suppose theoretically, admonition's taking a bunch of damage, a lot of the shields, a lot of tokens are gone.
Yes.
So there's a chance he can burn admonition down before it's able to take that shot at the most wanted Gozante.
So right now he's activating Gozante number 5, was a squadron command.
Did he have a squadron command?
Yeah, with Gozante number 5.
He just was rolling for Merrick.
Yeah. So Merrick Steele looks like rolled a crit and a hit on the rear of Mon Mothma's ship. Troy spending a redirect to move some shields to an adjacent hull. So I think Troy just said that was the last of the shields on the side and the rear of Mon Mothma's ship. And so there's only shields left on the front.
Can't move Jendon now, can he?
If Jendon is... Well, if Jendon's tied down, he can't move it.
No, I just mean, like, that's a lot of activations he's losing out on if he moves them away.
Yes.
So, there's nothing to tie him down. It's just a matter of wanting to get the activation.
Jendon has a activation range of... a relay range of 3.
Of 3?
So he can actually... Relays...
Never mind.
Relay is quite ridiculous. So it looked like it was another 2 damage on the rear using the double tap ability of Jendon.
Oh, right, I forgot about that.
Yeah. So I believe the critical was a critical that said you cannot take a shot at something if it was obstructed. Is it you can't take an attack on something that's obstructed?
Disengage fire control.
Oh, okay. disengage fire control, right? Yeah. I believe disengage fire control is you cannot take an attack against a ship whom the attack is obstructed. So 2 damage on a side-to-side shot. Again, most wanted, giving that extra blue die. Yep. So I think after that series of attacks, Troy's Admonition has 1 hull point left. I'm just going to double check that.
Ship, not Admonition, right?
Sorry, not Admonition. Mon Mothma's ship, yeah. So just proxying the forward Gazanti. Just maybe trying to see if he can get out of range. Now, if he can't actually maneuver out of here, both those Gazantis are actually going to take 1 more damage, and they already took a damage each from being overlapped. And I can't remember which one got overlapped by Mon Mothma's ship, but that means one of those Gazantis has 1 hull left. And so if it gets overlapped again by anything, it's just going to go down. So Christian, fortunately, did not bump his Gazanti, so they both live, at least for another activation.
So activates Foresight here before
Yeah,
4 is completely in range.
So I think if 4 is the one that has 2 hull on it,
Yeah, I think
you
it
activate
is.
Foresight and you ram it. And you just kill it with a torpedo frigate.
Yeah.
So it looks like Troy instead elects to activate... Yeah, instead elects to activate his Admonition. And he's going to flak the squadrons. So nothing so far. He's going to concentrate fire, add a die against that squadron. Yeah. So from the back now, flacking again, nothing. And 1. Okay, so that was Jonas that just took 1 damage from flak. And I don't think Christian has lost any of his squadrons yet.
He has not.
Yeah. And nor is he likely to, I don't think, because most of those squadrons have scatter, and Troy is just
must not have very much hull left if he's electing to turn it away rather than turning into that other.
He just might be afraid of the being shot by quad battery turrets and all that. I think it would have been better. I think it would have been better for Troy to turn up and maybe try to get into the side arc of the VSD instead of staying in the front arc of it. But it's hard to judge those things, especially when you're so far away already.
To get into the side arc alone, we would have come into medium range.
Yeah, but then you're only... I guess so. I mean, you're still being shot at with 4 dice because of quad battery turrets.
But theoretically, you have Mon Mothma's ability of letting you... well, I guess you don't need it at long range. Never mind.
So is this the VSD attacking, I think? Yeah, this is the VSD attacking. Side to the front of Mon Mothma's ship. So a red and a blue. Now, I don't know if you remember to add the... I don't know if you remember to add the most wanted die, because one of those dice, I think, is quad battery turrets. Sorry, 1 second.
So Victor went over, told him he added a die, rolled a blank, didn't affect things. But it's still enough damage to take Mon Mothma off the table.
Okay, so Mon Mothma, that is... so Mon Mothma was worth 115, and then add 63 points to that because of Most Wanted. So that was a huge coup for Christian there. And now even if Troy takes out Christian's Most Wanted ship, I don't think that's enough to bring him back.
How much did you say add? 63?
115 plus 63.
Once a minute.
Yep.
So it's suddenly a lot less crowded in there.
Yeah. So now he's activating Foresight, and yeah, I think you just want to ram the flotilla that had 2 hull on it. I think that's what he's going to do. Yeah.
That's not going to ram.
Well, yeah, it would be ramming this, right? Because you're ending up.
Oh, sure.
Right. It's hard to tell from this angle, but if you look at the overhead, then
I understand.
When he puts
but
the
it
thing
just
out.
he wasn't, his measurement wasn't not going to ram the back ship.
Yeah. Well, it depends, because when you overlap, you keep walking back until you don't overlap, and then it's the ship that you're closest to that gets rammed.
I think he realized that there was 1 damage in the back one, so
Yeah.
maybe not.
Well, he's still gonna be able to activate first next turn, so he can secure the kill then.
Well, 4 hasn't activated yet, so 4 is still going to move.
Yeah.
So the 4 is the rear Gazanti.
Yeah. So you ram 13.
Okay, so that was the one that was.
Okay, so that's 23 points for Troy.
So how?
Troy said he was out of boats, but he forgot number 5. Yeah, you still have to activate that ship. And so this is probably one of the things that Wave 7 is going to perhaps reduce ships that are simply there to pad activations.
Yeah.
Because Troy's ship hasn't really done anything. Sorry, number 5, the number 5 GR75 really hasn't done anything other than activate and run away.
We could have the end of this.
Yep. This is Jonas attacking the rear of Admonition. That's a hit crit. Oh, no crit. So he just takes 1 hull. Sorry, that was just a regular hit, wasn't a hit crit. One damage. This is number 3 being activated, I guess?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yeah, I believe this is the number 3 flotilla being activated. So that was his 2 squadrons, did 2 damage to Admonition, and now turning hard into the center of the board just to avoid getting into close range of Admonition.
He's going to activate. Yeah. Christian's ready to go, but we still got Troy's wandering transport.
Well, no, it's preparing to jump to hyperspace.
Yeah. That's not the Corellian campaign. He can't leave yet. More pot shots into the
Yeah.
rear of Admonition. Rolling pretty well, it looks like. Can't have that much hull left.
Yeah, and it's what I was saying earlier, right? Like Troy simply didn't bring enough squadrons to delay Christian's force long enough, because these Sloan squadrons unmolested, yes. Okay, yeah, redundant defense tokens do help against Sloan, but you know when the Sloan player has not lost a single one of their squadrons, and now they're all free to start bombing your ships, eventually they're just going to overwhelm your defense tokens. So it looked like one hull went on to Foresight there. So hopefully for regionals in 2 weeks, we're going to get some of our American friends come out. We have some friends in the Buffalo Armada meta. They mostly play at Dave and Adam's Card World. Guys like Paul and Chris, really hoping that some of those guys come out, because it kind of gets boring to play against your metamates, even at a regionals. And we were down in Michigan at the beginning of December last year. Met some really cool people there. We're going to hope that some of those guys are interested in coming out to Toronto to play in our regional on February 10th. And of course, that stuff will be live streamed at VTTV Live, so be sure to follow and subscribe to us on Twitch and YouTube to keep abreast of when we go live for this and other events. And of course, you can watch previous Armada and X-Wing, Netrunner, Destiny, all that stuff. You can watch all those things on our YouTube channel.
Well, I mean, folks that are going to travel out for regionals, if you're not going to make regionals, at least think about coming up for Canadian Nationals, which will be happening in March 16th through 18th. We'll be running Armada as a 2-day event on the Saturday and Sunday, so a chance to get a lot of games in, meet some great players. We'll be trying to stream as much as we can. Bring a variety of different games. We haven't finalized our schedule yet, but
you want to put the link to the Nationals website in the chat? So, yeah. So what Troy just did, he popped his reinforced blast doors, and what that allows him to do is at the start of the ship phase, he can discard reinforced blast doors to discard 3 damage cards from his ship. And he's also going to do reinforced blast doors on his other ship. Sometimes reinforced blast doors is a bit of a crapshoot because, in my experience, most of the time, once a ship starts taking hull damage, a ship dies before it has a chance to use it at the start of the next turn.
So with the defensive abilities of Admonition and Foresight, it feels like it's a little bit easier to manage how much damage you're having. So you can let enough through that the blast doors are going to work out, but not so much that it's going to actually kill your ship. So we're just trying to make sure we have a second round here today with some different players. Troy is going to try to take those squadrons on a bit of a chase.
Unfortunately, relay means that no matter how far he goes, as long as Jendon keeps pace with him, he can basically activate those squadrons wherever he wants.
Well, is Jendon in, or is Jendon back in front of the other Gazanti? Yeah, I don't think Jendon's in range of those guys. Or, well, no, at 3, maybe he is.
What Jendon can do is move and then use his second activation to relay. So.
So moving Merrick, take another pot shot at Foresight. Takes a damage on Foresight.
So that's one hull again, right?
Yeah.
So he had full hull before. It's another attack from a TIE Fighter. And it looks like a crit. So
reroll,
yeah, slung reroll.
Accuracy, so.
So he can spend a defense token. I'm not even sure if he has defense tokens left to spend at this point.
On that the Foresight I don't think has taken a lot of.
Right, it was the
damage.
thing that got attacked the least.
So.
Is it accelerating to speed 2 now?
Yeah, I guess keeping ammunition alive is going to be worth a lot more points than killing that Gazanti. Using a maneuver here. Spending the dial.
I think your best bet is just to try to take out that. Oh, I guess he's
shooting the VSD.
Shooting at the rear of the VSD. That's 2 hits.
He's going to brace and redirect.
Yep.
I don't think he's feeling too concerned about his VSD.
I mean, more of a symbolic effort, really, than anything else.
Taking a pot shot at Jendon.
Yep. Yeah, this game might have been a bit different if Troy decided to dump all on Jendon. I'm not sure if he even had the opportunity to do it, what with Christian's squadron superiority. But now I think he's trying to ram this Gazanti here to try to take it off the board. This is turn 5. So there's going to be one more turn after it. So this is really going to be one of the last opportunities that Troy has to take out anything. But he does have to be careful of not getting double arced by the VSD if he makes this maneuver. No. You can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't do that, Troy. No. Yeah, you gotta... And you can't... Well... What speed was he going at?
He's going at speed 4.
4, yeah. 4, he can do that. If he's overlapping at speed 4, he can reduce his
he's
speed.
going speed 3. Sorry.
Yeah, speed 3, but then you can't do that, Troy.
He knows. So trying to decide if he actually fits here at speed 3. So just realizing this guy actually has 2 health left, so he's not dying, he still has a health.
So he thought he had, he thought he killed the Gazantu that overlap, but it turned out he only had 1 damage. because he had overlapped it before.
Problem is, I brought my first two these. I didn't play two as one of the decks already played for rounds. And this one is really I should have brought it.
Oh, not quite. He's activating the VSD so he gets the squadron command. Gonna send everyone out after admonition. Or I guess not, because it's probably too far away.
Yeah, well, not only that, but like also, that's the target you're going to be able to shoot at with the VSD this turn.
Yeah.
So you probably have a better chance at dogpiling on that. Is that a cock die?
And if you kill it, it prevents your Gazanti from dying next round.
Yep.
So hit crit on Foresight. Structural damage? Oh no, not structural damage. If he gets the structural damage.
Would that kill it? 1, 2, 3. What is that?
I don't know, well, they haven't said yet. So double tapping with Jendon. Hit crit. That's the end of the Foresight.
Barf.
They're just talking about whether there's anything else to do if we're going to run indefinitely. So it's going to be the end of the game. Another 89 points for Christian. So that will be 344 to 107. So I can't remember what's that margin. How many points is that?
I think 344 to 107 is a 237. So that is almost definitely a 9-2.
Okay, so 9-2.
Yeah. Because I know 300 and above is 10-1.
Yeah.
And I think 220 and 299 is I might be mistaken, but pretty sure it's a 9-2 here so far.
Are we going to have another match?
I think one of the players has to go, so that might be it for today. For today's stream.
Well, okay, I just wanted to know what we should tell the stream people. Just tell them this is going to be our only game for today?
Yeah, I mean, this was primarily just to test our new setup for this weekend. But I think it went pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Thank you for tuning in.
I mean, I think people generally don't want to see a dead meta, more games of a dead meta. But we're looking really forward to Wave 7. Hopefully the excitement's going to pick back up. We're going to try to have, in addition to the regional stream on February 10th, we're going to try to do monthly game night kits here. Usually on the last Sunday of every month at 401 Games is when the Armada tournaments happen. So we're going to try to get more of that content out. But for the time being, yeah, just subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Twitch. We're really eager to put out more Armada content. And if you've got an itching for more Armada stuff, we've got plenty. We have quite a few videos. We've got, I think, a store championship from last year. We've got a regional at 401 from last year as a full unedited stream. No commentary on that, unfortunately, but we do have a really, really interesting and close match between two top-tier Armada players for the 27 Canadian Nationals, and you can see that video on our YouTube channel. So once again, thank you all for coming out and watching today. And so
our next stream will be X-Wing on Thursday evening. I think around 7 p.m., probably 7 p.m. Eastern. So that'll be the next stream. After that, it probably won't be until the February 10th Armada Regionals. After that, we don't have anything on the schedule, but we'll see what's coming up. And yeah, we'll see you then.
All right, thank you so much, guys.